Cassie testified that Diddy would have her rub the male's escort's bodily fluid on his chest. Oh man, this is a lot. We are literally on day 3 and we are just getting started as this trial is expected to last 8 weeks. From music mogul to defendant in the federal courtroom, Sean Diddy Combs faces serious allegations that have shocked the entertainment world. Let's delve into the unfolding trial that's capturing national attention. Okay, so before we get into this deep dive, I do want to give you guys a trigger warning. There's going to be some graphic details exposed in this case. So if you're not comfortable, just, feel free to click out of this video. But if you or someone you know is struggling with intimate partner violence, there are resources available, including the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and I'm going to provide details in the description box. Welcome to Deep Dives with Sali, where we unpack the most intriguing and complex stories happening today. Child, it's a lot going on. I haven't been posting for the past 2 to 3 weeks because I was on vacation, but I am back, ready to give you guys updates. Diddy's trial has commenced, and I feel like it's going to be a long, messy case. His trial began on Monday, May 12th, and today we're going to examine the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs, who stands accused of multiple serious offenses. I'm going to try my best to provide a day-to-day breakdown of the trial's first 3 days, May 12th to May 14th, highlighting key testimonies, charges, and courtroom dynamics. By the way, I created a TikTok for Deep Dives with Sali where I'm providing in-the-moment live updates of this case, so please pause this video to subscribe and follow our TikTok page. This is an ongoing case, so more developments will be on the way, so I will be providing more context on my TikTok page. And also, for days where I'm not able to post, TikTok is really going to be where I'm going to be at, so just make sure that you follow our TikTok page. Unfortunately, being that this is a federal case, cameras are not allowed in the courtroom. It is not allowed to be filmed, videotaped, so we're going to just have to rely on sketches. Yeah. Right. So what consisted on day 1 on May 12th? Day 1 was all about opening statements and initial testimonies. So for those of you who don't know, Diddy is charged. He's facing several federal charges, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, 2 counts of that, transportation for purposes of prostitution, that's also 2 counts for that. Prosecutors allege that Combs operated a criminal enterprise that exploited women over 2 decades. That's pretty much where RICO is. So the prosecution's opening statement was pretty much portraying Combs as someone who used his influence in the music industry to manipulate and exploit women, citing a pattern of abuse and control. And the defense opening statement, they acknowledge instances of violence, but argue that the relationships were consensual and that no federal crimes were committed. They emphasize that the alleged victims were adults capable of making their own decisions. So there were 2 witness testimonies. The first one was Israel Flores. He was the hotel security manager. He testified about a 2016 incident where Combs allegedly assaulted Cassie Ventura. So if you guys remember that the video of Diddy abusing and physically beating her up in that hotel, that's where that hotel security manager worked at. Flores stated that after the incident, Combs threw a stack of cash at him and told him not to tell anyone about it. And in the second testimony was Daniel Phillip. He was the escort that Diddy and Cassie would hire. So he claimed he was paid to engage in sexual acts with Ventura while Combs watched. He also testified that he witnessed Combs throw a bottle at Ventura and drag her by her hair into another room. So I kind of want to focus a little bit of Daniel Phillips' testimony, because a lot of it paints a picture of the kind of abusive man he was. And I know a lot of people are saying online that this is just Cassie just detailing all of this abuse is just kind of showing how it's pretty much shown like a domestic abuse situation. But I feel like this is perfectly setting the stage for the prosecutors. They're going to use Cassie's testimony to showcase how like they're gonna pretty much tie into RICO to show people how, like, what type of illegal structure Diddy was building. Get into more details of Daniel Phillips' testimony. So he said that he went into the Gramercy Park Hotel expecting to perform for a bachelorette party, but when he arrived, Ventura was alone. Phillips said there was also a man who was sitting in the room wearing a white robe and a hat and bandana covering his face from his nose down. Phillips said he immediately recognized the man's voice as Combs, though Combs didn't truthfully identify himself at the time. So then he also said that Combs would direct him and Ventura as they had sex. Like, he would pretty much tell them what to do, kind of like an executive producer type ish. Phillips said so basically, while he was directing them of what to do, Combs was masturbating while, they were doing a do. Philip also testified Combs recorded them having sexual intercourse on one or two occasions using a phone and a camcorder device. He also said that Ventura appeared to be intoxicated on drugs once when they met up. He said he once took Molly, a synthetic drug that Combs offered him. He said he felt nauseous but also euphoric at the same time. And then he recounted one incident where Ventura was on the computer when Combs shouted at her to come here. Phillips testified before he started dragging her by her hair into her bedroom. He testified Cassie was screaming and repeatedly saying, "I'm sorry," while he heard what sounded like Combs slapping her. He said he was shocked and was worried about losing his life if he reported the incident. So then the defense cross-examined Philip, and the Philip testified on cross-examination that he wasn't an active stripper or dancer when his boss asked him to go meet Ventura and Combs for the first time. He testified that he would sometimes fill in if he was needed. And that day, his boss said there was a request for a blackmail stripper and no one else available that fit that description. So I also want to talk about how Combs' family was there. So his sons were there, the daughters were there, the twins and the other daughter. They were present in the courtroom during the opening statement. So I do want to point out that at some point when Philip was detailing his experience, the daughters had to step out. And to me, it's just like, okay, I feel like it's just so, I cannot for the life of me understand why the daughters were there. Like, this case is way too graphic, and the subject here is the dad, right? He's the one on trial. So I just can't imagine. Like, this is just a lot. Like, this is very traumatizing for the daughters. Having to sit in the courtroom. I'm like, whose decision is behind that? Is it Diddy? Is it the lawyers? Like, the family? It's just not, like, I just feel like these kids' mental health needs to be protected, whether they're minors or not. This is traumatizing. So day 2 is all about Cassie Ventura's testimony. Day 2 is when she takes the stand, and she is obviously very pregnant. And I feel like because of her pregnancy and where she's at, I think they needed Cassie to go, her testimony to be first. And this is expected to be an 8 weeks trial. So I'm imagining at this point she's ready to pop. So they need to make sure her being the foundation, her testimony being the foundation for the prosecutor, it was essential for Cassie to take the stand first. So Cassie, being Combs' former girlfriend, she detailed a decade-long relationship marked by abuse and control. She described being coerced into drug-fueled sex parties, referred to as freak-offs, and being blackmailed with recordings of these events. So at this point, day 2, it was really about us being pulled into the freak off. Like, we're now getting inside the freak off. We're now seeing what's going on, what's happening, what it smells like, what it looks like. And it was an emotional testimony for her. She teared up. She recounted instances of physical abuse, including the 2016 hotel assault, which corroborated by video evidence. She also spoke about the psychological manipulation she endured, stating that Combs controlled many aspects of her life and career. Now, day 2 was very graphic. I ain't gonna lie. Day 1 with Daniel Phillips was graphic, but this one was just wicked. Okay, I was just like gasping. I was gasping because I'm like, wait, what? So Cassie didn't leave anything out. She recounted moments where she was urinated on, and she moments where she even choked on piss. She had to rub the escort's bodily fluid on Diddy's nipples. That Diddy kind of like that. She had to dip her whole body in baby oil. So Diddy would often have a blow up pool where they poured countless of baby oil in it, and they also had to reapply baby oil every 5 minutes if any of them were dry. So Diddy was pretty much like the producer. He directed every single move, and the freak offs will last for days and be broken into sessions. Listen, y'all, it was a lot. It was a lot. I was just like, what? Like, this man is very demonic. Like, all of this like freak offs that Cassie was detailing, it just gave off very demonic and just very sick in the head. So she mentioned that the free costs range from roughly to 36 hours to as long as 4 days, sometimes without any sleep. She recalled drinking, taking drugs, and having sex with strangers while staying up for days on end. The drugs helped her keep her awake, but then she would need to recover from the drugs, dehydration, and sleep deprivation. This is insane. So basically, she said that the freak offs became a job where there was no space to do anything else but to recover and just try to feel normal again. She testified. So she also said that she just wanted to spend alone time with Diddy, but every single time they were together, he just wanted to have a freak off session. And she said the freak offs took a big chunk of her life. They continue on for years, sometimes on a nearly weekly basis. At the end of the sessions, she said the hotel room linens were often soiled with baby oil residue, as well as bodily fluids, including blood and urine. And blood specifically because Diddy would force Cassie to continue these encounters while she was on her monthly, which is crazy. So she was choking back on tears. She testified that the freak offs made her feel disgusted and humiliated. And there is more. There is more. So I remember when I was reading through day two, the summary of day two from news reports, they were saying that Diddy was allegedly was orchestrating the freak offs. She alleged orchestration of the freak offs down to dictating the color of her nails. It had to either be white or white French tips, and even from the way she performed the sexual encounters. So she had to keep, like I said, reapplying the baby oil to keep glistening herself. And if the male escorts did not perform to his standards, they wouldn't even get paid. She also testified that over time, the sessions grew more elaborately staged, while Mr. Combs specifying that he will specify that they light up candles or color lights similar to what was used on music videos. Wow. Like, these are very like graphic descriptions of sex acts she did not consent to. So she would be lying on the floor in a position she couldn't easily get out of. And then the escort would urinate her at Mr. Combs' direction until choking. She would put up her hands. And then they would ask her, why, like they would ask her questions. The prosecutions would ask her questions. She would say she stayed to keep Diddy happy. So Cassie says that she stayed with Diddy to keep him happy, and she describes falling in love with him and participating in the freak offs because she wanted to make him happy. She said, when you're in love with someone, you don't want to disappoint them. So she said, as the years went by, she recognized that he had become very abusive. He would beat her and orchestrate even more degrading sessions that made her feel like her career was no longer music, but performing for his sexual satisfaction. The reporters who were in the courtroom were saying that Diddy did make eye contact with her, but Cassie would look away. She never looked at him straight away. So y'all remember Young Miami on her podcast with I don't know if it was with Saucy Santana, where she kept talking about how she enjoyed receiving golden showers, and then right when the Diddy stuff blew up, she started to make it seem like she didn't make those statements, or she tried to like flip it in a different direction. Yeah, so now everybody's thinking about that podcast where she was making these claims, and she was talking about, she refers to Diddy as Poppy, and in Cassie's testimony she says that she will call Diddy Pop. So it's now people are putting two and two together. Like, okay, now Young Miami was really Cassie number two. Like, she was really doing what Cassie was doing and thought it was cute. And now when all of this stuff blew up, it's like, okay, let me try to like keep my distance and act like I ain't never say nothing. And now the public is seeing the kind of man Diddy is behind the scenes. He loves to have these young women has sex toys. He loves to use them and control them and manipulate them and have direct them to do whatever he wants to do. He wants whatever dark demonic fantasy he has. He uses these girls to play into that. All right, so I'm currently recording this video on Wednesday the 14th. So it is day 3, and boy, I was glued to my phone and TV to make sure I was receiving all the live updates because, I'm invested, and has someone who loves journalism, like, I really, really love to be kept in the loop. So day 3 was all about the continuation of Cassie's testimony. And y'all, today is when she talks more about grape. Okay, I don't know if I can use that word on YouTube, so I'm gonna make sure that I use a code word. So I'm gonna use a code word for grape. You guys know what that is. So she testified that Combs graped her in 2018 during a meeting intended for closure after their breakup. She detailed the emotional and physical trauma resulting from this incident. Mind you, Cassie was talking to her her now husband then. And when she decided to have some closure, like to invite Combs for a conversation about closure, he graped her. And she elaborated on the extent of Combs' control over her life, including threats to release explicit videos if she did not comply with his demands. Ventura also mentioned that Combs assaulted others and threatened individuals she was associated with, such as rapper Kid Cudi. Yeah, do you guys remember when people were saying there were rumors circulating that Diddy blew up Kid Cudi's car, and now today Cassie confirmed that she was seeing Kid Cudi, and when Diddy saw that during one of their freak offs, when he heard about it during one of their freak offs, he was angry and he started threatening Kid Cudi through Cassie, and then one day his car blew up. There has just been so many claims about the dark stuff that Diddy has done, and now with Cassie being on a stand revealing some of these things and backing it up, woo, chow. I wonder, for those of you who don't believe the claims against Diddy, I wonder how you guys are feeling right now. So on day 3, she talked more about the abuse. She said she had back-to-back UTIs and sores in her mouth. That's crazy. And even with the sores in her mouth, she was forced to continue the freak offs. And then towards the end of the testimony, they asked her about the lawsuit that she filed in 2023. So she revealed that she settled the lawsuit against Combs in 2023 for $20 million, a case that initiated the federal investigation leading to the current trial. So the jury came back after a short break, and now Ventura is testifying about her book and lawsuit against Diddy. So in 2023, I remember when Cassie filed that lawsuit, she said she didn't think that Sean Diddy Combs, she didn't think that he understood the pain that she was in. She says, I didn't think he understood. I don't think after all those years of begging for sorries and for him to actually recognize the pain that he put me through, I just wanted him to understand, she said. Ventura said she sent the book back to Combs. She sent the book through Combs' lawyer and told him that he could buy the rights to it for $30 million. So they asked her, how did she come to reach that number? And she said, I didn't really do any research. I just picked a numeric hat I felt like would alert him. She later reached out to Combs' employee to ask if he had read her book and was told that it hadn't been taken seriously. She says she did not receive any compensation from Combs for the rights to her writing. In November 2023, that's when she filed the lawsuit, Ventura testified that she agreed to settle with Combs and his companies for $20 million for 24 hours after filing the lawsuit. Ciao. I did provide a lot more details of what she said about this case. So it is on my TikTok. So guys, please make sure you follow Deep Dives with Sally on TikTok. We are going to be covering this trial. I'm gonna try to make sure I'm covering on a day-to-day basis, but yo, it is a lot. It is a lot. So there were also reports that Diddy's daughters didn't show up, and that's because they have prom on Saturday. So they had to fly back to LA to make it in time for prom. I feel for Cassie. I really do. I can't imagine having to relive your trauma all over again in front of the whole world, having to recount these graphic details of your past, of your abuser. Like it's this is awful. This is so bad. All right, so the first 3 days of Sean Diddy's Comb trial have unveiled serious allegations and emotional testimonies, particularly from Cassie. And I pray for this girl, okay? Like, this is too detailed. And I just really hate that people are trying to flip it and say that she was in on this freak off. But yo, people are like, oh, why couldn't she run away? Why she didn't do this, bro? It's so easy for people to say what they should have done or what they could have done, what they would have done. But you've never been in a situation like this before. This man was abusive. He is a billionaire with resources, networks, connections, with a lot of money and power. It's so easy for you who've never experienced a billionaire with that amount of power to say, oh, yeah, I would have done this. But the truth of the matter is, you've never been in her position before. So, as the trial progresses, more details are going to emerge, obviously. It's gonna shed more light on the extent of the alleged abuses, and I'm gonna continue to monitor the proceedings and provide updates on this case. So like I said, please follow my TikTok because I'm gonna be providing more live updates on there, and I hope you guys enjoy this thorough breakdown of the from day 1 to day 3 case of the Diddy trial. And make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.